civilization. Feeding chickens in the yard, and I suspect a number of you might recognise this. How's about that one? Carrying food carefully balanced up from the kitchen and up and out to others. And as far as I'm aware, she didn't spill anything. But part of her duties were to scrub and clean the floors. And one last picture. She had a special dress that she kept and altered and treasured, but it had been ripped to pieces by jealous people of her own age. Now that isn't the whole story, but I'm going to stop it there. And we turn to a reflection. Slightly puzzled looking something or other. Picture of an immature, troubled up lion cub. A cub that's been encouraged to leave and finds himself not doing so well, starving, needing water, lost and alone. And he's found and befriended by the strangest couple of creatures. And you can see how strange he is to live. But he travels with them for a while, and he grows a bit more, and he grows still further. And then one day he is encouraged to take a look at himself, see who lives in him. And we will leave that story there as well. There are no pictures for the next little snippet, Transfiguration, for want of another way of putting it. Fiona from Shrek. Lovely young girl, but then at night she turns into this horrible green, ghost, ghastly ogre. But the lady who's looking at her, thinking Shrek, the ogre, is the beautiful one. See what you see, whereas she had been misled to think that she was beautiful as a young woman rather than being herself. Okay. We're going to spend a few minutes after I finish reading you this story, wondering about what you see. Do you see what I see? Now, whether I'm asking the question, whether you're asking the question of yourself, whether you're thinking it, do you, meaning God, see what I see? I don't mind. I really don't. You're special. By Max, however that's pronounced.
Okay.
The Wemmicks, lovely word that, the Wemmicks. They were small wooden people. All the wooden people were carved by a woodworker named Eli. His workshop sat on a hill overlooking the village. Each Wemmick was different. Some had big noses, others had big eyes, and some were tall, others were short, some wore hats, some wore coats. All were made by the same carver and lived in the village. All day, every day, the Wemmicks did the same thing. They gave each other stickers. Each Wemmick had a box of golden star stickers and a box of grey dot stickers. Up and down the street, all over the city, people spent their days sticking stars or dots on one another. The pretty ones, those with smooth wood and fine paint, always got stars. But if the wood was rough or the paint chipped, the Wemmicks gave dots. The talented ones got stars too. Some could lift big sticks high above their heads or jump over tall boxes. Still others knew big words and could sing pretty songs. Everyone gave them stars. Some Wemmicks had stars all over them. Every time they got a star, it made them feel so good. It made them want to do something else to get another star. Others could do little. They got dots. Puccinello was one of these. He tried to jump higher than the others, but he always fell. And when he fell, the others gathered round him and gave him dots. Sometimes when he fell, his wood would become scratched, so people would give him more dots. Then when he tried to explain why he fell, he would say something silly and yet more dots. After a while, he had so many dots he didn't want to go outside. He was afraid he would do something dumb, such as forget his hat or step in the water, or people would give him yet more dots. In fact, he had so many grey dots that people would come up to him and give him dots for no reason at all. He deserves a lot of dots that people would agree with one another. He's not a good person. After a while, Puccinello believed that I am not a good Wemmick, he would say. A few times he went outside and he hung around with other Wemmicks who had lots of dots. He would feel better around them. One day, he met a Wemmick who was unlike any he had ever met. She had no dots or stars. She was just wooden, and her name was Lucia. It wasn't that people didn't try and give her stickers, it's just that stickers wouldn't stick. Some of the Wemmicks admired Lucia for having no dots, so they would run up to her and give her a star that it would fall off. Others would look down on her for having no stars, so they would give her a dot, but it wouldn't stick either. That's what I want to be, thought Puccinello. I don't want anybody's marks. So he asked this stickerless woman how she did it. It's easy, Lucia replied. Every day I go and see Eli. Eli? Yes, Eli, the wood carver. I sit in the workshop with him. Oops. Why? Why don't you go and find out yourself? Go up the hill, he's there. And with that, the Wemmick with no stickers turned and skipped away. But will he want to see me? Puccinello cried out. Lucia didn't hear. So Puccinello went home. Oops, I don't know my keys. He sat near the window and watched wooden people scurrying around giving each other stars and dots. It's not right, he muttered to himself, and decided to go and see Eli. He walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill, stepped into the big shop. Oops, so all weeks up here. There we go. That'll do. Walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill, stopped in the big shop. His wooden eyes widened at the size of everything. The store was as tall as he was. He had to stretch with tiptoe to see up the top of the workbench. The hammer was as long as his arm. Puccinello swallowed hard. I'll not stay here, and turned to leave. And then he heard his name, Puccinello. The voice was deep and strong. Puccinello stopped. Puccinello, how good it is to see you. Come, let me have a look at you. Puccinello turned slowly and looked at the large, bearded craftsman. You know my name? The little Wemmick asked. Of course I do. Who made you? Eli stopped down, picked him up and sat him on the bench. The Maker spoke thoughtfully as he looked at the grey dots. It looks like you've been given some bad marks. I didn't mean to. I really tried hard. You don't have to defend yourself to me, child. I don't care what the other lyrics think. You don't? No, and you shouldn't either. Who are they to give you stars or dots? They're monarchs, just like you. What they think doesn't matter. All that matters is what I think. And I think you're pretty special. Special? Said Pucciniello. I can't walk fast, I can't jump, my paint is peeling. What do I matter to you? Eli looked at Pucciniello, put his hands on the little shoulders and spoke very slowly. Because you are mine. That is why you matter to me. Pucciniello had never looked at him, Pucciniello had never had anyone look at him like that before, much less his maker. He didn't know what to say. Every day, I've been hoping you'd come, Eli explained. I met someone who had no marks, explained Pucciniello. I know. She told me. Why don't the stickers stay on her? The Maker said softly, because she has decided that what I think is more important than what they think. The stickers only stick if you let them. What? The stickers only stick if they matter to you. The more you trust my love, the less you care about the stickers. I don't understand, said Pucciniello. Eli smiled. You will. But it will take time. You've got a lot of marks. For now, just come and see me every day and let me remind you of how much I care. He lifted Pucciniello off the bench, set him on the ground. Remember, Eli said, as the Wemmick walked out the door, you are special because I made you, and I do not make mistakes. Pucciniello didn't stop, but in his heart he thought, I think he really means it. And when he did, a dot fell to the ground. So, the little clips beforehand, that story, do you see what I see? As I say, I don't mind who's asking the question. Do you see what I see? Whether it be God, whether it be me, whether it be Sheila, whether it be your friends, do you see, understand, appreciate something from that story? When you're in the passage from Matthew, it's helpful to close your eyes and imagine, to picture, to feel, to experience what's going on. It might apply to the passage from Exodus as well. It's entirely up to you. Closing your eyes cuts out distractions. Let me just, I've hit the button already. There's two of the questions I'm suggesting for the readings, suggested for us to consider. How do you imagine, how do you picture, how do you envision God in these passages?
I don't think it's so much the envision. I think that God is within us. You feel Him within you.
Yeah, it's fine, the passages, yeah, but you may know them well enough. It's fine, absolutely. Again, I'm so pleased that people feel free to react, interact. And the other one is, where are you watching from in the passage from Exodus? What about that from Matthew? Where are you in that story? Are you in that story? Etc. Bits and pieces. There's another two questions that I may not get to, because time is doing its own thing. Exodus 24. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction." Then Moses set out with Joshua at his aid, and Moses went up on the mountain of God. He said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you, and anyone involved in a dispute can go to them." When Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord looked like a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went on up the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Matthew 17. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James and John, the brothers of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my Son, whom I love, and with him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell face down on the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said, "don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus instructed them, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." So while you're drinking your coffee, while you're thinking about those passages, that's the 2 questions I'm going to throw at you, invite you to consider. Yeah. God's presence. I haven't asked you about your own personal experiences, or for that matter, the other question about whether you seek or desire or hope for a revelation of God in your life. Time is doing its thing. I wonder how the Israelites thought of God. Whether they would want to experience and get close to God, or perhaps actually would rather stay down in the mountain at the base. Let someone else go up and experience that. Experience the cloud of glory. Similarly, when you think you might have been one of the disciples, the 3 taken by Jesus up the mountain, or whether you stayed with the others at the foot of the hill. Were you one of the disciples at all? Or were you further away, somewhere else, hearing all the strange stories told by another and wondering about them? Could they possibly be true? Surely someone must have been on something. narcotic of some sort, to imagine that kind of thing. Where were you in that story from Matthew? I am not going to explore the meaning of the presence of Moses or Elijah. Both people God called, appointed, God had poured His Spirit on them, and they carried out some really, really remarkable tasks. Moses freeing the people from slavery and bondage, Elijah confronting false gods and prophets, among other stories. And Jesus was there too. They seemed to be chatting, talking, conversing. I wonder what that conversation was about. What was the subject? Was it law and rules? And was it proclaiming and demonstrating God's power? Was it perhaps grace? Perhaps mercy? Or could be anything? If you are doing something, this comes back to the introduction, sort of. A bit like Peter as well in the Matthew story. If you're doing something or wanting to do something, whatever that might be, whose approval do you look for? Whose approval would you seek? Perhaps with age, we might be a little wiser than the younger folk, seeking approval from their peer group, their chums, their class. Perhaps that sort of mentality has worn away and been replaced by who do we turn to? We might have stopped growing up, but we always continue to grow, to learn, to journey on. So whose approval do we seek? Jesus only did what his Father, he saw his Father do. Only did what he was asked to do. Not my will, but yours. We haven't got to that part of the scripture yet. But we hear in this passage God's approval a second time. This is my dear Son, in whom I am well pleased. First heard of Jesus' baptism, and then restated with a little extra bit. Listening to him. Now, whether God spoke in that tone of voice or not, I have no idea. Might be listening to him. Kind and considerate and inviting. Or it might have been a command. Either way round, listening to Jesus. And there's the instruction for us all. Listen to Jesus. It might be frightening. Listen to him. Listen to God. Listen to him perhaps as Christ's presence, the Holy Spirit, God's Spirit's presence is in our lives. As it grows, God's approval might be heard by us. This is my child. You are my child. You are a child of God. And from there we might become people whom God can use and instruct to tell others, listen to him. Not as in that Punchinello story, gold stars or grey dots, but listen. Listen for God's voice in our lives. As we, a bit like in some ways the way Lucia did. Point back to the Maker. Point back on, even point to the Creator. Because that is the one who made you. Spend time with the Maker. Don't stay away, don't keep apart, don't get caught up on what everybody else is thinking or doing. Spend time with the Creator. Listen to him. And be reassured as well, because we heard the disciples fell on their faces, fear and fright. That could have been to do with awe and wonder, and unknown, just complete unknown. They feel frightened, terrified. But remember who did what after that, what Jesus did. There are 4 things. I'm trying to get my fingers right. There are 4 things. He came near. Very obvious statement. God comes near to where we are. He touched them. And there is something about touch, however difficult and uncomfortable it might be one to another, but a touch from God who comes close enough to touch, is wonderful. He spoke, Jesus spoke, get up. Why get up? All sorts of reasons, possibly. The one that came to my head, I think it's the clearest in the passage in some ways. There's work to be done, don't lie on your faces. Get up because you've got a task to do. Not telling anybody yet, but that has passed. You have work to do, get up. You can't do it flat on your face. That's not biblical, but that's what I think of as the get up. And he also said, do not be afraid. It turns up in umpteen scriptures. But Alone kept himself away because he got fed up with more and more grey dots. Our God comes close, touches us, tells us to get up and not to be afraid. May we spend time with the Creator and recognise that God comes close to touch and change our lives to bless us, that we may become a fuller blessing to others. We join together as I lead us in our prayers and intercession.